Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Today I will show you how to make the fastest killing scorpion inspired fire build in Wolong Fallen Dynasty. This extensive guide will provide you with a full breakdown of the best weapons, gear, and spells to use. After he and his clan are exterminated, Scorpion reappears as a hell-spawned Spectre, seeking vengeance against those responsible for the destruction of his family and clan. Scorpion is most commonly associated with fire, and he is very versatile with this element. On this build, we are utilizing the strongest fire spells in the game. Flame Weapon, which enchants our dual swords with fire, significantly boosting our attack power and melting enemy health bars. Burning Flame Wave, which scorches the ground in front of you, causing fast burn accumulation and stagger on your opponents. And lastly, Amplify Damage, which adds 40% extra damage to our spells and melee attacks. Like many ninjas, Scorpion is also well versed in the art of armed combat, his primary weapons of choice being the dual swords. These dual swords in particular provide us with A-tier damage bonus for having a light equipment load, power gain upon successful martial arts attacks, and 112 flame attack power, which increases flame damage and burn accumulation on enemies. The quickness of the dual swords allows for very fast status effect buildup and even deadlier combo attacks. What makes this build special, however, is the Grace of Lingbao the Pure One gear set, the most powerful gear set in Wolong Fallen Dynasty. This Grace set unlocks an ability called Principle of Lingbao, which increases HP damage dealt in proportion to the number of negative effects on enemy targets. This build contains very easy ways to apply negative effects on enemies. Some examples include power drop and damage amplification on enemies upon a wizardry spell hit, and spirit vulnerability after landing a martial arts attack. Hanzo Hasashi was a man of focus. Scorpion is a man of vengeance.
What am I doing? You think you have me pinned? You got me there.
For my player stats, you can see here I am level 150, I have 48 wood virtue and 80 fire virtue. The wood virtue affects HP and the amount of spirit lost when attacked, and it also affects spell duration. The fire virtue is the main virtue on this build. This is what our weapon primarily scales with, and it also affects the amount of spirit gained when attacking and the amount of spirit consumed by martial arts. To the right here, you can see 865 HP, 447 defense, 124% spell duration, 66.9% martial arts spirit consumption rate, A tier agility, and 366 fire elemental attack power. Some highlights of this build include 110 flame attack power, which increases flame damage and status effect accumulation. We also have 16.8% extra flame damage, which increases flame damage dealt to enemies. 16.5% burn accumulation on enemies. The great thing about having high flame attack power means the status effect accumulation will already be achieved, which means you don't have to use as much burn accumulation stats on your gear. And we also have an extra 14.5% negative effect duration on enemies, which plays an important role in this build because we are using the Principle of Lingbao ability. Our damage on this build increases as we apply negative effects on enemies. The main weapon on the Scorpion build is a 5-star Chivalrous Swordsman dual swords +9 fully upgraded 559 attack power, and you can see it scales very well with the fire virtue. For my martial arts special effects, I have Skyward, Evergreen, and Plum Rend. For the special effects below, A tier damage bonus for light equipment load, which increases HP damage dealt based in proportion to the lightness of your equipment load. We have A tier agility, which means we can achieve the max amount of damage possible with this stat. Power gain upon martial arts, negate attribute damage upon guarding successfully, +19 attack power, and this weapon is the first piece of the Grace of Lingbao, the Pure One gear set. This grace set gives us 5 bonuses: Spirit vulnerability to targets upon a successful martial arts hit, power drop to a target that a wizardry spell hits, damage amplification to enemies when landing fatal strikes, an extra 5.8% negative effect duration on enemies, and the best ability on this grace set, Principle of Lingbao, increases HP damage in proportion to the number of negative effects on enemy targets. The maximum amount of additional damage can be achieved when there are 3 negative effects on a target. For my secondary, I have 5-star Bronze Dual Swords +8, 497 attack power. The only reason I have these on this build is to unlock the 5-piece bonus for the Grace set. I also have the Flying General's Bow, 4-star +8 with 500 attack power on this build. This bow is great for any fire virtue focused build because the scaling is A+. On this bow, I have an extra 17 flame attack power, 3% negative effect duration on enemies, 5.6% enemy status effect accumulation, and also enemy detection. For the helmet, I have a 4-star Wuhan Cavalry hat +8, 105 defense. For the stats below here, I have +1 ammo held max. Unfortunately, I can't change the stat on this piece. We have 3.4% extra flame damage, damage amplification to a target that a wizardry spell hits, and 17 flame attack power. For the chest piece, 4-star Assassin Garb +8, 135 defense. For the special effects below, +36 stealth, +3.1% flame damage, +2.8% negative effect duration on enemies, and +19 flame attack power. This set also gives us set bonus requirement mitigation, which allows us to achieve a set bonus with 1 fewer piece of equipment. Next, we have 5-star Wuhan Cavalry Gauntlets +8, 105 defense. For the special effects below, +1 ammo held max, +3.5% flame damage, damage amplification to an enemy upon successfully deflecting a critical blow, 8.2% burn accumulation on enemies, and +19 flame attack power. You don't need too much burn accumulation on enemies for this setup just because our flame attack power is so high, and again that affects flame damage and status effect accumulation as well. And lastly, 5-star Shan Yu Soldier Leglets +8, 92 defense. For the special effects below, 4% spirit gain from deflecting, 3.4% flame damage, 8.3% burn accumulation on enemies, +2.9% negative effect duration on enemies, +19 flame attack power. For the accessories, I have a 5-star Imperial Seal. The main reason I'm using this is because it gives me an extra +19 flame attack power. And the second accessory, General in Chief Seal. I like this one because it gives me 3.4% flame damage and Spirit Fervor upon deflection. This increases spirit gain from attacking, which is pretty useful to have. The first wizardry spell we are using on this build is Burning Flame Wave, which summons continuous eddies of flame in front of you, which deal damage over time to any enemies that come in contact with it. This is one of my personal favorite fire spells. It allows you to apply burn accumulation very fast, and it's also great to get those debuffs applied quickly. Next, we have Flame Weapon. For a certain period of time, enchants your current melee weapon with flame. I recommend using this spell over Flame Enchant just because the Flame Weapon burn accumulation seems to be a lot faster. We also have the Amplify damage spell. For a certain period of time, increases both the damage you deal to enemies and receive from them. And lastly, one of the strongest fire spells in Wolong Fallen Dynasty, Bursting Fireball. Hurls a large fireball that will split into multiple small fireballs and explode after a certain period of time or upon hitting an enemy or terrain. The easiest way to activate the Principle of Lingbao ability is to cast Burning Flame Wave on your target, which will apply power drop and damage amplification on the enemy. To apply the last negative effect, Spirit Vulnerability, all you have to do is follow up with a martial arts attack. The maximum amount of additional damage can be achieved when there are 3 negative effects on a target.
I've only just warmed up.
Thank you all so much for watching the video. If you found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, a thumbs up would be very much appreciated. Thank you all so much for being here. If you want to see more Wolong Fallen Dynasty builds, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel, and also turn on those bell notifications so you are notified every time I drop a new video.